What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
A whole conversation about that.
Beyblade was the shit. Let it rip. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome in to another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Coming to you, recording time-wise, at 1:30 in the morning, because that's how we do the grind. Don't stop. I just got back from the Eagles preseason tie. Witnessed a tie in person, because who knew they don't do overtime in the preseason anymore.
I
did. So everyone, they were like, the game is over. And we were like, what?
Hey?
Donovan McNabb was in shambles.
Number 5 will always love you. Go fuck yourself, number 5.
We've got some fun stuff on this episode. No Dylan this week. He's on vacation with his lady. So Christian and I are going to tackle 2 episodes of Ted Lasso Season 3. And then we have a special guest joining me for our Ahsoka season preview. As his Twitter bio says, Walking Star Wars Encyclopedia, my good pal Joe Andress joins the show later on to help us prepare for Ahsoka. And my, oh my, he lives up to the moniker of Walking Star Wars Encyclopedia. Got almost an hour of an Ahsoka preview for you guys, so it's a doozy. It's a good one.
Good.
And
sounds like that's going to carry this episode.
It's a good one. You don't want to miss it, so be sure to stick around for that. Joe breaks down everything from Clone Wars to Rebels to live action, and we break down who the directors are, which is very, very exciting for a lot of them. And then we'll get into news and notes, everybody's favorite segment. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and StreamerSZN Pod on TikTok. Follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you decide to consume your audio podcasts from. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Christian, do you want to say the line?
Please, I think this is line. Please give us your movie and TV recommendations.
Yeah.
Is that the line, or is that a different
one? In the
one?
reviews. Leave it in the reviews.
And we will hopefully get to it as quick as possible, depending on if Kyle gets access to Max or not. In some cases. So yeah.
Yeah, we got a whole bunch of stuff ready to rock and roll as we get set for Ahsoka, obviously, and then just across the board we'll have some fun stuff, leading into the fall, and we got some movies that we plan on watching, so leave your reviews, because we will read them. We will put them in our list of things to do. And you can also leave them in the YouTube comment section. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show, every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams. Unfortunately, I was informed on the interviews portion of things. We were scheduling to get our good pal Pat Pitts' brother, Matt Pitts, who was the lead writer for Quicksand that came out on Shudder, and was a writer on Westworld. We were working on booking him. Pat sent the all systems go, and Matt said, gotta wait till the strike's over.
Totally get it.
It's like totally understand. So once the strike, hopefully comes to an end with our writers and actors getting fair compensation and fair working
3
conditions,
years later.
we will have Matt Pitts on the show for sure. I do have to go back because this is way before we were clipping stuff. I got to clip everything with our pal Mike Horowitz when he came on the pod.
I've side note. It would be absolutely hilarious if we have him come on and it's just Pat Pitts with one of the squiggly mustaches. Be like, hello there. It's like
He's just got the comic like
yeah.
glasses with the big nose and the mustache. But yeah, we're working on sifting through all of that, and eventually, once the strike comes to a close, we're going to be working on getting interviews and all that good stuff. So subscribe so that when the time comes, it's even more enticing for writers, producers, directors, all that to come on the podcast. Be sure to get your merch as well, phiapparel.co. They're the best in the game. They are gearing up for football season. Just dropped a new Jalen Hurts shirt because he signed with Jordan Brand. No free ads there on our end, but they've also got StreamerSZN exclusive merch, shirts, hoodies. We're working on some new stuff for the fall. That should hopefully be up in the next week or so. I'm hoping to get that over. But you're going to stand out in the crowd with your StreamerSZN merch. We want to see where you're rocking it from. So when you buy it, be sure to tag us on social media. We'll repost it. We'll share it wherever you decide to tag us. And when you go to checkout at phiapparel.co, use code UNDERGROUND. Be sure to use that code because that way they know you're coming from us. And you get 10% off your order from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company. That's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. Christian, let's get into it. Ted Lasso, episode 6 of season 3, titled Sunflowers, not to be confused with the incredible Post Malone song from Spider-Verse, the original one, just a banger. Let's get into it here. After losing a friendly against AFC Ajax in Amsterdam, Ted declares no team curfew, no curfews, no capes, Edna mode. In order to lift Richmond's spirits, Keeley leaves for Norway to see the Aurora Borealis with Jack. Higgins and Will go to a jazz club. So I hear you like jazz.
So I hear like a jazz club in the red light district.
What a concept. Roy immediately pushes Jamie to start training after tiring out Roy by leading him on tour of the city. Jamie teaches him how to ride a bicycle. Rebecca is accidentally knocked off a bridge into a canal and spends the night with a man on a houseboat. Colin heads out to a gay bar where Trent finds him and relates his own struggles with coming out. The rest of the team argue, trying to decide where to go that night, and end up staying at the hotel.
Tulips, Kyle? Well, one single tulip.
They end up staying at a hotel to have a pillow fight. Coach Beard gives drugs to Ted before heading out to perform as Piggy Stardust. While watching an old Chicago Bulls game at an American restaurant, Ted has a vision that inspires him to create a new strategy inadvertently based on total football. The next morning, the whole team leaves Amsterdam energized and their morale boosted. Who would have thought just a night out with the boys would solve everything?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk? Christian, your overall thoughts on Sunflowers?
So this is the one I've been kind of talking about leading up to. This is one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. Just straight up, hands down. Like you have a bunch of different storylines going on, and I will fully say I do think the Higgins thing is kind of just like the weird thing in all of this. I'm like, I don't quite know how you actually logically fit into this, but Roy, Jamie, Ted, Rebecca's storyline continuing, and then we get what I feel is like the first truly big moment in the Colin storyline. And specifically the scene he and Trent share, just sitting there, and if I remember correctly, it's filmed filmed right in front of or near I believe it's an LGBTQ memorial
Hmm.
or something in Amsterdam. So again, a very purposeful choice there, but it's 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 an episode that has its profound moments, and then it has people arguing about a single tulip versus having sex versus going to watch people have sex, and then they end up having a pillow fight instead. Like
Pillow fight.
it's I feel like is the best version of what a season 3 Ted Lasso episode could be. Like, could it cut a storyline or two? Yes, but I feel like this is my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, I echo every sentiment that you just laid out. No notes, full send. Your score, Christian, for episode 6 of season 3.
It's gonna be my highest of the season. I'm giving it a 9. It
Nice.
like it is one of my favorite episodes of the entire series. So I have to
Um,
do it.
I am right there with you. But everybody knows I don't do the round numbers, so I'm giving it a 9.1, um, which rounds up to a 9.1 in our book. So, banger of an episode there for Ted Lasso, episode 6 of season 3, Sunflowers. And then moving right along, The Strings That Bind Us, episode 7. Ted, Beard, and Roy begin to introduce total football to the team with a series of training exercises, attempting the
Strings,
strategy.
strings, Kyle,
What?
strings,
What am I?
strings tied around their you know what's
Oh, god damn it.
strings, Kyle. What
See what happens
10
when we record at 1:30 in the morning.
K- K- Kyle, you one could say every string was attached, not no strings attached.
God damn it. Ted, Beard, and Roy begin to introduce total football to the team with a series of training exercises, attempting the strategy in a game against Arsenal. They fall behind 3-0 in the first half, but after a pep talk from Jamie, they come together to score an elegant goal in the second half, convincing Trent that Ted's supportive style of coaching will succeed. Nate works up the courage to ask Jade on a date. Rebecca expresses concern that Jack is love bombing Keely with extravagant gifts, and so Keely tells Jack she wants their relationship to be more equal terms. Just before his father is to visit, Sam criticizes a bigoted cabinet minister on Twitter, and the next day, his restaurant is vandalized by the minister's supporters. And when he brings his father to see the wreckage, he finds the whole team there cleaning and repairing the restaurant.
Okay, just based on that last thing, I would like to issue a moratorium because I thought that happened in an episode last week that we talked through, but apparently it was in this episode here.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this one is one of the messier episodes where I feel like it's doing too much again. It goes from really being set in one location, fall with really two or three main arcs and a bunch of little funny humor bits, to this having like all of the serious arcs together again. And I just feel like the gears grind. Like we have Sam doing the serious, more political thing. We have all the relationship stuff, and then we have Roy tying yarn to the players' blanks in order to get them to work as one, and then they just start tripping over each other.
Yeah, it's an interesting episode. I
That's That's never a good word to use in context like this. Interesting.
Interesting. Definitely kind of a step back from the previous episode we just broke down, obviously. Um, but I definitely see where you're coming from. Like, it is a little messy. It is a little, like, too many serious things all at once and not given enough time for those to breathe. Still pretty high quality episode, but not as flawless in execution of everything that we've seen in some of the previous episodes, not only this season but in previous seasons. So Christian, your score for The Strings That Bind Us.
I don't fully remember all my previous episodes, but I'm gonna say somewhere in the low sevens. It has moments I enjoy, but it's overall just doing too much.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. So we'll say it's like a 7.3 overall.
Sure.
So there it is. We will continue the Ted Lasso binge through. Hopefully wrapping it up next week as we get into Ahsoka season as well. And before we get into Ahsoka with our season preview with Joe Andress, let's have a word from our friends at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. That they now have an app that you can download in the App Store, Google Play, and just for downloading it, you can claim a free pair of sunglasses when you open the app. It's that simple. They also have their warehouse sale going on right now where you can get up to 80% off. That's 80% off at tomahawkshades.com with the warehouse sale. It's insane. That is a bonko sale. Go check out the app. Claim your free pair of sunglasses. Check out the warehouse sale. And year-round, when you go to checkout for sunglasses, blue light glasses, prescription lenses, you can use promo code USP and get 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. That's promo code USP for 25% off at tomahawkshades.com. And for the warehouse sale, it's promo code WARE80. That's WARE80 for up to 80% off. Now let's kick it to our season preview of Ahsoka with the one and only Joe Andress. All right, everybody. Ahsoka is upon us, and obviously we're recording this out of order a little bit, but Dylan's on vacation, my typical Star Wars nerd man himself. He's probably sifting through the sands of Tatooine he loves. So we've gone to the bullpen, and that is a full-on Phillies Twitter joke for everybody listening there, because the man joining me is from Phillies Twitter, but he's also a walking Star Wars encyclopedia. My man Joe Andress joins us here on StreamerSZN to give everybody a nice Ahsoka season preview, as Ahsoka, the live-action show coming to Disney Plus, is coming to us in a week. I can't believe it's already here, and I have to mention, because of all the rules and stipulations, everything we're talking about here, we're going to be critical. We're going to have fun breaking it down. This is not paid promotion for Ahsoka. We stand with the writers and actors and want them to get fair compensation for what they do. So there it is, and we're allowed to cover this because it is just journalistic. So shout out to the writers, shout out to the actors.
Yes.
Go do your thing. Joe, welcome to StreamerSZN, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm so excited.
You are the Walking Star Wars Encyclopedia, as per your Twitter bio.
Yes.
And I know you're a big Ahsoka fan as well, so I said there's no better person to tap in for the Ahsoka season preview than Joe.
I'm honored, man. You know, my shoulders stretched out, coming out of the pad. I'm ready.
The double lightsabers are ready to go.
Yes. Yes, they are.
So for Ahsoka, obviously a lot of people were introduced to her character in the animated shows with Clone Wars, with Rebels. But there's a big contingent of people that got introduced to Ahsoka as Rosario Dawson in live action with The Mandalorian. and the book of Mando, as we like to call it here, because it wasn't really the book of Boba
No.
Fett per se.
Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yes. The Ahsoka series has me very excited.
Yes.
I think Star Wars has been kind of on a tear in putting out good, solid content, from Andor being phenomenal
Absolutely.
to Mando season 3 having its moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ahsoka can follow that lead, and it, from the trailers we've seen, looks incredible.
Yeah.
I think the story that they're going to tell is going to be fantastic, and we're getting Thrawn in live action.
I know. Dude, I can't believe it.
He's
I
so
cannot
blue.
believe
He's
it.
so blue.
He is like violently blue.
So for the people at home, Joe, you being the Encyclopedia and Ahsoka stan
Yes.
that you are, give the listeners kind of a rundown of what you think the important aspects of her character are in the Star Wars universe.
So, for people familiar with the animation side of Star Wars, Clone Wars, Rebels, this is a little bit of old news. But for those, like you said, introduced to her more recently, know her as Rosario Dawson. Ahsoka started out, way back in the Clone Wars movie back in 2008 as the, surprise apprentice to Anakin Skywalker. Yoda literally pulled up in the middle of a battle and was like, here's an apprentice. And, the relationship blossomed from there. She goes on her adventures, misadventures, what have you, throughout the Clone Wars series. And it all sort of culminates in this big, sort of attack on the Jedi Temple that she gets framed for. And it's, this huge drama. Ahsoka doesn't know who to trust. She's being chased down by the clone troopers she thought she could trust. She doesn't even know if she can even trust Anakin anymore. And, her name gets cleared, this and that. But at the end of the day, she's like, I can't go on like this. So she leaves the Jedi Order. Very dramatic, very sad, like one of the more heart-wrenching moments of the series. And, she's sort of doing her own thing, laying low, this and that, gets involved with the war towards the tail end of it. That's where we have the Clone Wars Season 7. And, goes to Mandalore, fights Darth Maul, and experiences Order 66. She has to, take on Captain Rex, who was Anakin's clone captain in the 501st Legion. And, it basically all ends with her sort of just walking off into the saddest sunset imaginable. Then we go to Rebels. Rebels, we've got the Ghost Squadron. And then, there's this mysterious figure called Fulcrum, bit of a rebel spy. Turns out it's Ahsoka. She's been working with the rebellion for, it's not all that old at the time, but she's been there. She's been providing intel, this and that. She's got these hot new white lightsabers. And she, becomes part of that family. Eventually goes and duels her former master, who's now Darth Vader. And, it's very, her fate after that duel is very mysterious. And then we don't find out until much later on in Rebels that, she did survive. And then we don't really see her again until Mandalorian Season 2, where she's looking for our big bad blue boy, Grand Admiral Thrawn, as well as Ezra Bridger, part of the Ghost crew, who disappeared with Thrawn at pretty much the very end of Rebels.
One of the coolest episodes of The Mandalorian, too, by the way.
Oh, it's so sick.
In the series as a whole,
yes,
very ninja, duel type vibes with how dark and ominous that whole area was. Such a good episode.
It is a standout, and it's one of the perfect encapsulations of Star Wars's inspiration that it takes from old samurai films and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, then we get Ahsoka popping up in the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
and
she's with Luke. She's with him while he's sort of constructing his Jedi Temple, the very early workings of it. We only see her briefly, but even then, it's clear that she's got a mission on her mind.
And then we get the nice little trailer from the series that we're gonna get, and it looks like it's going to be action packed. It looks like it's going to be filling in, and I think that's what the nice part about a lot of these post sequel trilogy series and movies that we've gotten, whether it's Rogue One, Andor, The Mandalorian. They fill in a lot of the gray areas that the original trilogy gave us, that the prequel trilogy gave us, that even Clone Wars filled in a lot of, that Rebels filled in a lot of. But they've continued that in live action, and I think that's just some of the genius and mastery of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau is like, they want to do it right, and they want to make sure that every nook and cranny of this Star Wars universe is filled properly. And, just looking at who we have writing and directing some of these episodes, Joe, I'm going to get you stoked. I don't know if you've seen who's...
I know who's directing. I actually just saw, but please tell me who's writing because I can't wait to hear it.
Dave Filoni wrote every episode.
Every episode?
Every episode was written by Dave Filoni.
Stop it. All right. This is going to be fire. Like, I'm not even worried.
Dave directed episode 1.
Of course. He
also directed episode 5.
Okay.
Then we have Steph Green directing episode 2. And for people who may not know who Steph Green is, she's known for her work on The Book of Boba Fett, Watchmen in 2019, Run and Jump in 2013, New Boy in 2007, and she's also worked on the following television series: Scandal, The Americans, American Gothic, Billions, American Crime, Bates Motel, Preacher, You're the Worst, For the People. She worked on an episode of Luke Cage on Netflix with the Netflix Marvel Universe. Strange Angel, The Deuce, The Man in the High Castle, like I mentioned, Watchmen, The L Word Generation Q, Dare Me, The Book of Boba Fett episode 2 was the episode she worked on, and then she's got 2 episodes of Ahsoka.
That is extensive.
It's an extensive list of projects.
Like, if you don't know who she is, like you like, if you didn't, like, you did. you know, like, odds are you've watched something she's done.
Then we have so she's directing episodes 2 and 3, so she's got back-to-back episodes. Then we have Peter Ramsey working on episode 4. Peter Ramsey, this should have everybody excited. He was a director for Monsters vs. Aliens, Mutant Pumpkins from Outer Space, Rise of the Guardians in 2012.
Okay.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse in 2018 with co-director Bob Persichetti and Rodney Rothman.
Okay.
He was a director for We the People in 2021. Lost Ollie. He worked on Chapter 21, The Pirate of the Mandalorian, Season 3.
Okay, yeah.
He's got Ahsoka, and then as a second unit director in the 90s, he worked on Poetic Justice, Higher Learning, Tank Girl, and 1998's Godzilla.
Really? All right.
Then he gets into it. He gets in the mud as a storyboard artist, where he worked on A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child in 1989.
Okay.
Predator 2, Tank Girl, 1995's Mortal Kombat, Eye for an Eye, Independence Day, Men in Black, Godzilla, Being John Malkovich, Fight Club, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
No way.
Castaway in 2000, AI Artificial Intelligence, The Affair of the Necklace, Panic Room, Minority Report, Adaptation, The Core, Spartan, Shark Tale, Shrek the Third, Shrek the Halls, Penguins of Madagascar, Sausage Party, Duck Duck Goose, and 2018's A Wrinkle in Time.
I mean, you can't say that he doesn't, get out there and try new things.
Gets it.
Honestly, I like that. Very well-rounded,
Yes. And he's got the horror, he's got the nerd, he's got it all encapsulated. Comedy. He is going to be directing episode 4. Then, like we mentioned, Dave Filoni directing episode 5. Then we have Jennifer Getzinger directing episode 6. The people who don't know who Jennifer Getzinger is, she has worked as a script supervisor on a number of notable films, including 1995's The Prophecy, 1998's Phantoms, 1998's Clay Pigeons, Requiem of a Dream, The Devil Wears Prada in 2006. She was also script supervisor for the television series Strangers with Candy, Sex and the City, The Comeback, The Sopranos, and Mad Men.
Wow, all right. Another
She
very
also-
experienced name.
Her other television directing credits include Hung, The Killing, Orange is the New Black, Agent Carter, How to Get Away with Murder, Shut Eye, Jessica Jones, Outlander, Counterpart, Daredevil, Westworld, Dead to Me, Why Women Kill, Outer Range, and The Nevers.
All right. That's, very well-rounded.
Yes, she's got the nerd, she's got the gangster
drama.
mafioso aspect
Yes.
and everything, which is exciting when you think about Ahsoka and her run-ins and what she's going to be dealing with.
Yes.
And for that to be episode 6, like, that means we're getting the mud with
Oh, yeah.
something like pretty hefty there. Then we go to episode 7, which is with Geeta Patel, which this has me over the moon. Geeta Patel, she's a director, screenwriter, and producer, best known for her work on Meet the Patels in 2014, House of the Dragon in 2022,
Look out.
and Ahsoka. She has also been credited for these films: 2001's The Fast and the Furious,
No way.
2002's Blue Crush, 2003 The Rundown, 2004 Mindhunters, Meet the Patels, Project Kashmir. Then on TV, she's got The Beast, Independent Lens, Sense8, The Mindy Project, Survivor's Remorse, Superstore, The Mick, Fresh Off the Boat, Speechless, Champions, Atypical, Santa Clarita Diet, Chambers, Dead to Me, Sweet Bitter, Runaways, The Magicians, The Great, P-Valley, House of the Dragon, which she worked on the episode The Lord of the Tides, which was a phenomenal episode. And then she's on Ahsoka as well. That being the penultimate episode director.
I'm very interested to see where that goes. And the Fast and Furious catches my eye because Ahsoka, in a way, like the series, is going to be about family. It's going to be about the Ghost Crew. It's going to be about, it's the whole gang from Rebels, basically. It's that family. And, there's a lot of other
That's
credits
incredible.
in there, atypical stuff like that, where there's a lot of family dynamics. So I'm wondering how she sort of takes charge of that in her episode.
Is Vin Diesel going to show up in the Star Wars universe?
Dude, I'd lose my mind.
Is that where they went when they went to space? They
They
went to a galaxy far, far away.
We see a Dodge Challenger pull up next to the Ghost.
Dodge Challenger. It's using hyperspeed.
I live my life a quarter parsec at a time.
Oh, that's incredible. Oh, man. And then the finale. I mean, who better to call in than Rick Famuyiwa?
Oh, he's a man.
The best. And if you don't know who Rick Famuyiwa is, you're joking yourself. He's been a huge part of The Mandalorian since the beginning. And
some of the best episodes were directed by him. I think he worked on the Book of Boba Fett a little as well.
yes. So I mean, that is just beautiful to know that he is the finale's director alongside Dave Filoni. They're gonna cook on the finale. Where do you see this series? Because obviously we know there's confirmation Dave Filoni's getting his movie as well, to where this show is encapsulated in the Mandoverse, and that movie is going to encapsulate all the happenings. How do you see Ahsoka kind of progressing the Mandoverse along with her story and what we've gotten, with the little breadcrumbs we've gotten in The Mandalorian Season 2 and then the Book of Boba Fett? Where do you think her story plays into this whole puzzle that they're building?
So I think that Thrawn is the key to all of this. We've got Baylan Skoll, and I believe her name is Shin Hati, and then Morgan Elsbeth looking for him. He's the big mystery. Where did he go? Where did Ezra go? And I think the three of them, those antagonists and Thrawn, are going to be the crux of this whole thing. And I think ultimately what happens with them is going to determine what happens down the line with the movie and like probably the next season of The Mandalorian. In terms of like Ahsoka as a character and the other members of the Ghost Crew, I think we're going to see a good bit of development. The trailers have alluded to a lot of development in Sabine's character. Some rumors going around that she may be a Jedi, which I don't necessarily subscribe to, but I think there's going to be a lot of personal journeys there in terms of, just their relationships, because clearly there's some tension between Ahsoka and Sabine. Sabine has, she's looking for Ezra. Clearly she is harping on him still, wants to know where he went. And then we've got Hera as well, contending with the New Republic and being a general there and dealing with, the bureaucracy of everything. So, but at the end of the day, I think Thrawn is key.
I like that. And I mean, we've gotten like little breadcrumbs too for Ahsoka over the past couple of shows as well. We got live action Zeb in Mandalorian season 3, which was a nice little celebration for all the Rebels fans out there seeing Zeb in live action. It's like, oh, there we go. There's the Ghost Squad right there. We also got in the trailer, I want to pull up the correct character. We got Mon Mothma showing up from Andor, now in this universe too. And I know, they said Rogue One and Andor aren't necessarily in the Mandoverse per se.
Right.
But I do find it interesting that there is such a key player from Andor now showing up in the Mandoverse, like to figure out how that's going to connect, because obviously we have the Ahsoka and Darth Vader and Anakin connection there, and that's all Rogue One is based around is Darth Vader, and seeing that darker side of Darth Vader that we also kind of saw in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
So it is interesting that we have Genevieve O'Reilly showing up as Mon Mothma in this show, and how that's going to come into play too. With Zeb showing up in Mando season 3, do we get any cameos from some of these existing characters in the Mandoverse, in your opinion, showing up in Ahsoka?
I think a few of them might be sort of tough to swing. Like, I don't think the Mandalorian is going to show up. I don't think he should show up. We don't need another Book of Boba Fett situation on our hands. But you might get Dave Filoni's Rebel pilot character. Like, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if he threw himself in there. I don't think we're going to get anyone like Boba Fett. I don't think we're going to get Fennec Shand. I just don't think that this story, how they've laid it out in the trailer so far, calls for all of that. And I think that they've got enough already with the various Rebels alumni to where, they can sort of do their own thing and trust that they're going to be able to carry the story on their own.
I think there's a couple that could potentially show up, just knowing Dave Filoni. They're from this Rebels Clone Wars universe as well. It wouldn't shock me if Bo-Katan shows up.
Oh, not in the least
at some
bit.
point.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that.
It would not shock me if we get Moff Gideon showing up, because the whole Darksaber storyline and
if
how
he's still
was,
alive,
which I think he is.
Okay, that is a bold assertion, but I'll follow you with it.
I subscribe to the ever-going movie TV trope that if you don't see the true death on screen, it didn't happen.
Yes.
And I'm 99% convinced the Moff Gideon we saw in season 3 of The Mandalorian was a clone.
I can see it. I don't know if I completely buy it, but I can see it.
And I think
Giancarlo Esposito is
he's too big of a name to
exactly
kill
he's
off
too
that
good
way.
not to use like in future stuff, especially with like how Gideon was, you know, sort of doing his own thing, and we saw him fighting with the other members of the Imperial Remnant in like the latter part of season 3 of The Mandalorian. I would really like to see how he fits in now that Thrawn is making a return and everything else that's going on.
He's too big of a villain as well to, I think you'd want to have Thrawn and Moff Gideon on the silver screen together.
Oh, at the same
put them on the big
absolutely.
screen together. And Giancarlo Esposito is a huge name to put on, you know,
Yes.
a movie bill.
You
So
put him
I
on your
think Moff
poster,
Gideon's,
you're gonna get eyes.
Yeah. And I think, you know, with the Darksaber lore and the Darksaber being destroyed now, you know, that's a whole wrinkle in this relationship between Sabine and Bo-Katan and Ahsoka and everything that I feel like has to be explored. You know,
absolutely.
it gets handed off to Bo-Katan. She's supposed to lead the Mandalorians, you know, as their leader. And we all saw what happened in Mando season 3. Like, there's got to be answers for that, I think, for Sabine, for the Ghost Squadron and everything. It also kind of wouldn't shock me if the Armorer shows up. She gave off very weird energy and very weird vibes from Book of Boba Fett on.
Yes, I still don't know how to feel about her. Like they led heavily into her like being shady to some degree. And you know, like you said, I don't think that's fully resolved yet. I wouldn't be surprised, even if she doesn't interact directly with like Ahsoka or Sabine, what have you. I wouldn't be surprised if she just, you know, we have a quick little aside to see her up to something, whether it's good or bad.
And my last fun prediction, because again, I don't think he's dead. He's too cool of a character to bring in and then take out. Cad Bane's alive, baby.
Oh, man. Oh, I want him to be. I want him to be so bad. I want him to be so bad. Like,
that red light was still flashing on the screen at the end.
I want to see him and Ahsoka on the same screen in live action. It would be, as a Clone Wars fanboy, it'd be a dream come true. A lot of this is already a dream come true, honestly. But that,
I need it.
It'd be a tough sell. Because like you said, like, we saw him die. Like, I think he got stabbed through the chest, if I remember correctly, with Boba Fett's gaffy stick. So
I don't know if he's dead though, because that red light was still blinking. And Cad Bane is a slippery son of a gun.
He always has been. It'd be a tough sell, but I would welcome it. I really would.
I would love if he's still around. I also think an interesting aspect that I feel like was kind of like throwaway almost in The Mandalorian season 3 that I think could potentially get explored in all of this. That whole mini Dr. Pershing arc in season 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll explore that in this show per se, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he makes an appearance again in Ahsoka.
I'm really not sure, because we did see a lot of how, you know, that couple episodes, you know, show to us how the New Republic is not as strong or pristine as we would think it would be, or as we would want it to be. And I think how you mentioned Mon Mothma's appearing in Ahsoka, I think she's also a representation of that, because, you know, who she is in Andor during that time period and who she is now are two very different people. Like, in a lot of supplemental material, books, comics, what have you, she's sort of the reason why the New Republic sort of, you know, acquiesces to members of the Imperial Remnant, like all these, you know, offshoots taking over and eventually forming the First Order. So, yeah, that storyline with Pershing, and I forget the other character's name, the you know, spy who deceived him. I wouldn't be surprised if she showed up. Because because she was very closely tied to Gideon. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see him, but I would like to, because I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions there.
Yeah, and I mean, we have in the Ahsoka trailer, we have some of these other, Jedi showing up, where I was watching some interviews and they specifically said they didn't make their lightsabers red. They are like that orange color to prove that they're still not fully, going to the dark side. There's this like limbo in between, which I find very fascinating.
Yes.
How do you think that crew is going to play into the happenings in Ahsoka?
So they really are some of the biggest question marks. We've got Baylan Skoll, played by the late Ray Stevenson, and then Shin Hati, played by, if I have the name correctly, Ivana Sakno. And those, like you said, they were very intentional in making their lightsabers not red, but they're close enough to it to where it's like, oh yeah, these are bad people, and we see that in their actions. From what I understand, they play a sort of mercenary role, and it's a characterization that we've seen a few times in Star Wars, in the current canon and in the old canon especially, where no one is they're not a Jedi, they're not a Sith, they're just like a Force user. And in this instance, they're very much, dark Force users, sort of like Kylo Ren, because I would not call Kylo Ren a Sith. I would just call him a dark Force user.
For a long time, I'd call him a bitch.
I mean, that is also valid. You could also say that. But yeah, their role in this is going to be very interesting, because obviously they're looking for Thrawn, and they're going to be at odds with Ahsoka very directly. But once Thrawn is back, and once he asserts himself as the top dog, what do they do? Do they just fade away and continue to do their own thing, or are they going to be part of that Imperial remnant? It's very curious, and it gets into a lot of sort of muddy areas of previous Star Wars canon. But I'm still intrigued by it, because I think that stuff is very interesting. Just playing with the idea of Jedi and Sith, dark and light, and trying to assert that there can be a gray area, gray Jedi, if you will, which is a very, can be a bit of a contentious topic. A lot of people say Ahsoka's a gray Jedi. But
Palpatine, also gray.
It's like exceedingly violently gray in appearance. But yeah, they are a big question mark. So I'm very interested to see what their characters do.
There's also I'm sifting through the trailer right now too, looking at like the 24-second mark for everybody listening or watching. There's like this temple looking thing that looks oddly familiar to where Grogu was in season 2 of The Mandalorian, but also for you Clone Wars fans, it vaguely reminds me of that episode where like the siblings and the dad god thing happened.
Man, what were they called? I can't remember.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, if you will.
If you
it looks like that area as well, so I'm not sure if we're going to explore that again, but
it is definitely Dave Filoni cooking up like yet another like abstract element to Star Wars, because as you mentioned, that arc in the Clone Wars, very out there. And then in Rebels, in season 4, we've got the World Between Worlds, which is this, Ezra accesses it, and it's this like space that's out of space and time, and it's essentially a way of like time traveling. It's how Ezra saves Ahsoka from her duel against Darth Vader, and then like brings her back to the present, so to speak. And it looks a lot like that. It really does.
How do you think Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship plays out in this? Because this is obviously going to happen after Ahsoka abandons, finishing the training with Sabine, just like Ahsoka left, and Anakin left Ahsoka and kind of
Yes.
left her in limbo. How do you think that relationship kind of plays out and either gets repaired, or are they at odds still? How do you think that dynamic plays out?
It's going to be tense because we see Sabine a lot as, this very independent character. But at the same time, we see throughout Rebels, there's that dependency on family and the trust that she puts into that family. And, Ahsoka is very much a part of that, and she leaves that family. So I think there's going to be a lot of, trying to separate the familial element to with the master and apprentice element. I think they're gonna have a lot of growing pains together, and if I had to guess, it's gonna culminate in they've got their backs against the wall and they've just got to set aside their differences and just fight together. And I think ultimately they'll find a strong bond there.
Again, I mean, looking at some of the scenes that we have in the trailer, and for everybody that doesn't know, when you watch a trailer, take it with a grain of salt, because they film
Always.
a lot of things that they put in the trailer that don't end up in the shows. But there
or
is a
it's out
lot
of
of
sequence.
that too. There's a lot of those samurai elements again in this trailer in particular, which is exciting. The fight scenes look incredible.
They look so sick.
Anakin getting name dropped a ton.
Yes.
And then we also, towards the end of the trailer, I want to get the exact timestamp here for everybody. It's at about the 2-minute and 1-second mark. We have a mechanical, robotic, helmeted looking Inquisitor, dare I say. We got a spinning lightsaber. Maybe that's a wheel for the Dodge Charger.
Vin Diesel's not too far behind.
But to see an Inquisitor pop up as well, very intriguing.
Especially given the timeline. Like, at this point, the Empire's gone. The Grand Inquisitor, he's gone. Vader is dead. So it's interesting to see that there's still Inquisitors out there hunting Jedi, specifically hunting Ahsoka. It wouldn't surprise me if, a lot of people have thought that Barriss Offee might be the Inquisitor, who is the person that framed Ahsoka for the Jedi Temple bombing, which led to her being expelled, leaving the Order. So I think the Inquisitor is more than just, a bit of fan service, a bit of familiarity to Rebels. I think that there's going to be a lot more to him than the trailer lets on.
I like that a lot. That's a fun theory.
Yeah.
How do you see this series just playing out as a whole? Like, where, from when it starts to, obviously on release day, we're getting the first 2 episodes, which I like, which tells me, they're going to kind of be interconnected. And then as we ran down the directors, I feel like 1, 2, and 3 will be connected because same director for episode 2 and 3. From start to finish, where do you think this takes us with Ahsoka's story, with the Mandoverse, and kind of pushing forward to what Mandalorian Season 4 will be, how some of these other Star Wars shows could get incorporated into the Mandoverse? Obviously, we have the Acolyte on deck, which I'm super excited about.
Very excited.
There's a skeleton crew as well as on deck. How do you think Ahsoka could play just as a piece on this chessboard from start to finish in this series, and where do we end up, in your opinion, just as a prediction, at the end of the series?
I think it's very much, I think a lot of it is going to be a little bit isolated in the sense that we're going to, we're catching up with a lot of these characters for the first time in a while. Ahsoka, while we saw her in Mando and Book of Boba Fett, we didn't really get to dive into her psyche, what's going on in her head, because we know, a lot of who her character is from the Clone Wars and Rebels, but we don't quite know who she is now. So I think this show is probably going to dive into that a lot. I'm sure Dave Filoni's going to whip out his, Clone Wars and Rebels writing expertise to give us something that's very poignant and emotional. We're catching up with members of the Ghost Crew. Hera, as I mentioned, is part of a significant member of the New Republic now, serving as a general. We've got Sabine. She clearly, from the promotional material, is going to play a huge part in this. And her journey as, a warrior, a Mandalorian, a rebel, stuff like that. So I think one part of it is going to cover a lot of that. And then I feel like we're going to get a little bit of what we got in The Mandalorian Season 3 with just seeing more of the Imperial Remnant and building towards future projects. I'd be surprised if there were, huge moments that really, decided the fate of future storytelling. I think it's going to be a lot of more and more breadcrumbs. Thrawn obviously is huge. Like, him featuring in this is going to be a big setup for future projects. But otherwise, I think we're just going to get a lot more of what's going on in the galaxy at the time. What's the state of the Republic? What's the state of the Imperial Remnant? And it's just going to draw us more and more into, Mando Season 4 or the movie, which I think the movie really, whenever that comes out and whatever it handles, is going to be the crescendo of the last, I don't know, at that point, maybe 5 or 6 years of storytelling.
Yeah, and it's also confirmed that Skeleton Crew is in the Mandoverse.
Is it really? Okay.
So it's Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew are confirmed.
That one I'm very curious about, because there's really barely anything known about that. And it just seems like it's going to be a little offbeat, a little bit fun. So I wonder how they're going to tie that into the drama of.
It's giving Stranger Things meets Star Wars.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where I have high hopes for this show.
Yes.
I think it's going to bring a lot of the gray areas together. I know when it was initially confirmed, announced, and everything, Rosario Dawson was kind of quoted saying that she would love a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is a show that could culminate in multiple seasons, or do you think it's a one-off, short series type of thing that we typically get with a lot of these Disney Plus shows?
I think it depends where they want to go with the Mandoverse. If they think it's worth, putting a lens on the Ghost Crew and Ahsoka, really diving into their characters more, then I think it could get a season 2. But it would have to serve the overall Mandoverse story. I think, Dave Filoni struck gold with The Mandalorian, and I feel like, the Ahsoka series is, I'm sure it's been itching at the back of his head for years, wanting to do something with her in live action, and The Mandalorian allowed that. So ultimately, The Mandalorian kind of has to take precedence. I wouldn't be surprised if, this was sort of it, in the sense that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was very much, beginning, middle, end for his character and his relationship with Vader. I would love a season 2 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But in terms of being a complete story, I think that depending on how they do it, Ahsoka could be very similar.
My only wonder if it could get a season 2 is, do they want to I think the overarching question too is, do we find Ezra?
Yeah. Could you imagine you get through 8 episodes and he's not even there, or he's in the 8th episode?
That's, I think, is the determining factor is,
never. Yeah.
Do they want Ezra on screen? Because in the trailer, there's, a message from Ezra. We don't know if that's pre-recorded. We assume it is. Do they want 8 episodes to culminate in finding Ezra and putting a cap on that story, or do you want this to be very Ahsoka Thrawn heavy?
Yeah. To
where you're still trying to find Ezra, and Ezra's not with Thrawn when you stumble upon him, to then bleed into a season 2 and have that build up and that, wonder of, holy shit, we went through an entire animated series. We've gone through cameos in The Mandalorian, in the Book of Boba Fett, and now a whole 8-episode sequence, and we still don't know where Ezra is, and
Yeah.
keep Star Wars fans on their toes, wondering where this beloved character is.
I think that the 5th episode of Ahsoka is going to be one to look out for, because the fact that it's directed by Dave Filoni means something. It always meant something with The Mandalorian. It always meant something with the Book of Boba Fett. If you knew that Dave Filoni was directing the next episode, you better watch it, because something big is going to happen. I think something big is going to happen in episode 5 of Ahsoka, whether it's, that's when we finally see Thrawn, like we get build up for 4 episodes and then pay off for Thrawn, and then as well as if we see Ezra or not. Because like you said, if we get Thrawn, if we find Thrawn and Ezra's not with him, sound the alarms.
Yeah.
Where is he? Because he could legit be anywhere at that point.
It's going to be fascinating to see how this show runs out, and we're going to be in the mud with Star Wars from August 23rd to October 4th.
Whew!
That is the run.
Can't wait.
8 episodes. The premise of the show is Ahsoka Tano investigating an emerging threat to the galaxy following the fall of the Empire. We all know that threat is Thrawn.
Our big blue boy.
And, to have the original voice actor, too, playing Thrawn in live action is
perfect.
Perfect.
I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
I just love that they got him to come back. Lars Mikkelsen is unbelievable as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that happen, and I mean, we have casting for Ezra Bridger. It's Iman Esfandi. So like Ezra is confirmed. It's
Yes.
just a matter of when.
To what degree?
And figuring all of that out. We always do a grading scale, Joe. And we will be checking in with you throughout Ahsoka, so everybody knows. What is your preseason prediction, scale of 1 to 10? You can use decimals, you don't have to, for what the overall series will end up being graded as.
So, I trust Dave Filoni. He's rarely done me wrong. Ahsoka as a character is his baby. The Clone Wars was his baby. The Mandoverse is now his second baby, third, what have you. I think he's going to do us right. I think he's going to show this a lot of care. My prediction as of right now is a strong 8.5.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm also on the same page as you.
Yes.
I'm at an 8.5 for this show, which would be incredible because I'm pretty sure, looking at our list for this year, 8.5 would be in the pantheon of one of the best shows we've watched to date on this show in 2023.
It's kind of been a rough year.
Wait, we started off strong with The Last of Us, and then it's kind of all just been a jab. Mando Season 3 got a collective 8.1.
Okay.
And then Ted Lasso Season 2, because we've been on a Ted Lasso binge, got an 8.6 as a whole. Secret Invasion let us down.
I haven't watched all of it. Honestly, I've watched a lot of it through Twitter, but from what I've seen, oh man, is it rough.
It let us down.
What happened?
So we're hoping Ahsoka gives us a nice bounce back. You and I both on the same page with an 8.5.
Yes.
Joe, let everybody know where they can follow the Walking Star Wars Encyclopedia, where they can check out everything you're doing. You're now a published poet.
Yes, I am. Very exciting. Thank you. I can be found on the platform formerly known as Twitter under capital J_Andress. That's ANDRESS and the number 29. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I will have been known to post Star Wars book reviews as well as just whatever crazy stuff comes to mind. There, I'm at tree_boy29.
I will be following you on TikTok from our accounts right now.
Thank you.
Joe will be popping up during our Ahsoka run. It's a formality. We just need all the Star Wars big brains as much as possible.
I got you. This brain, 90% of it is Star Wars.
It's a beautiful thing. So make sure you guys are following Joe. He'll be making appearances during our Ahsoka run for sure on the podcast. So be sure to follow him. Joe, appreciate you hopping on for this lovely Ahsoka season preview.
Of course.
And looking forward to potentially having you on episodes throughout the season and talking Star Wars in the Phillies Twitter group chat. And I'm sure we'll be just having fun from August to October with the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah. This was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having me.
Shout out to Joe for hopping on to deliver his Star Wars Encyclopedia brain for the people while Dylan was out of office. Very excited. Joe's going to be trying to pop in on occasion during Ahsoka as well with us to deliver his big brain of encyclopedic knowledge of the galaxy far, far away. But without any further ado, let's get into everybody's favorite segment. Is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our pals over at Kenwood Beer, the official beer of StreamerSZN and Underground Sports Philadelphia. You can go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia and Pittsburgh areas, or you can buy it at your local Philadelphia or Pittsburgh area liquor store. Must be 21 or older to do so, and of course, please drink responsibly. Christian, this story came across my timeline, and I could not help but laugh because of how purely silly and just bamboozled and stupid this person is. I don't know if you saw this, but it is absolutely hilarious. A Stranger Things fan was catfished by a scammer claiming to be Dacre Montgomery online. She ended up leaving her husband for the scammer and started having, quote, doubts about everything after sending $10,000 to Dacre Montgomery over the course of a year. The scammer convinced her to send money after he claimed Dacre's girlfriend controlled his bank accounts. She agreed to do it because her toxic ex-husband was that way. I saw screenshots of the messages that were sent too. The profile was a picture of Billy, not just regular Dacre Montgomery. How blindly stupid do you have to be to get catfished in 2023 thinking you're talking to a celebrity where their profile picture, let alone at any time, but especially during a writers and actors strike, is a character that they play.
I've two words for you: mental illness. Like,
good
these,
grief.
Like, people are deranged.
I couldn't help but laugh. Like, the memes that I collected, like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones from underneath those posts, were next level. Next level. Like, when I saw that, I gasped and I laughed so hard because, like, how naive do you have to be to think you're talking to Dacre Montgomery, who needs $10,000? Get a grip. Craig Mazin indicates The Last of Us will have 4 seasons, not to be confused with the landscaping or the hotel. Quote, you never know. It can end up being 3 or 5, but 4 seems like a good number. It's from the Hollywood Reporter. Follow-up quote, some seasons, because of the stories we're telling, will need fewer episodes and some will need more.
All right, I'll say this much. There's 2 games. There was already talk that the second game's broken into 2 seasons. I don't know how the hell we're getting a 4th. Because I don't believe there's a Last of Us Part 3.
That's the Nintendo game that got taken down.
Yes, of course.
Moving right along. Kind of surprising here. debuting at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 29 reviews. Blue Beetle?
I still don't care enough to see it in a theater.
Nor do I, but that's
now,
surprising. I don't think a lot of people expected it to do much of anything, but good for the Blue Beetle cast. This one had me cracking up, and I'm sure it will have you cracking up as well. Fast X was reportedly barely profitable. The film grossed $714 million on a $340 million budget.
Yeah, Kyle, as someone who kept track of what the hell was going on with the production of Fast X, I knew it was one of the most expensive movies ever made. To be clear, not adjusted for inflation. So just based on pure box office, yes, it's not profitable.
I would just love to make a project where I'm viewed as barely profitable and still make gazillions of dollars.
I want to quickly take one here. We got the first trailer for Maestro, Kyle, the Bradley Cooper led. Well, Bradley Cooper produced, directed, and starring biopic about Leonard Bernstein. Did you get a chance to see that?
I have not, but I have seen controversies about Bradley Cooper all on my timeline today.
Which hold on, I'm gonna quickly unpack this for those who don't know. It's basically people were upset that he used prosthetics to look more like Leonard Bernstein, and we're going on a whole like Jew face rant type thing, and his estate literally had to come out and basically say that we are totally fine with this. Bradley included us the whole way along. Like, you shouldn't be mad. And it's just like, oh god, like this is where I'm hating our culture, because it's like someone like Bradley Cooper just doesn't go and do this without talking to people about it. And plus, it's a biopic. Of course, the state's gonna be involved in the goddamn film.
We've got an update on House of the Dragon. Director Claire Kilner on season 2 being reduced from 10 episodes to 8. Quote, "There are 8 wonderful episodes with so much happening in every episode, and we have trouble at times bringing them down to 1 hour. Ryan's decision was to give it a good opening and a good ending, and they're jam-packed with emotional and visually exciting events." Claire Kilner on director. Alan Taylor joining the project. It's very inspiring because there are 5 directors and they're all different, and we're all watching the dailies and commenting on one another's work. We can't help it. We're all a bit competitive, so Alan helps us up our game.
Bang. I'll jump in one from here. It's technically from like a week ago, and I don't remember if we talked about it, but who was spotted on the SAG picket lines, clearly due to his publicist and agent being like, no, you were not fucking yourself over here. Stephen Amell showed up to the picket lines, guys."
Who else showed up and kind of went dummy for us on Instagram? The Queen, Aubrey Plaza.
Speaking of Aubrey Plaza, Kyle, we got the first teaser for the Scott Pilgrim anime series known as Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. And when I tell you, and this has already been discussed in our private chat, we are doing this on the show.
When does that come out?
November.
Okay.
Like, you got plenty of time, but when I say that Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the Edgar Wright directed movie, which, by the way, Edgar Wright is executive producing this series, and the guy who wrote the comics also wrote this show. They got basically every actor from the movie to come back for the anime series and voice their characters, which Chris Evans basically has technically like 3 or 4 scenes. So Chris Evans comes back, steps into the sound booth, records three or 4 scenes. Cheers! Here's a nice bag of money, and Chris Evans is happy. Netflix is happy. The fans are happy, and anyway. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World is probably one of my favorite comfort movies, and it's so just it's it it's so funny and so fun to watch. That have you seen it, Kyle?
It's been a long time, but yeah, I've seen it.
I love that movie so much. So yeah, that's something we're definitely going to be in, and of course, Aubrey Plaza will be back voicing her character. So
Are you ready for the follow-up clip that will be going out following
dear.
us talking about Margot Robbie's feet last week?
oh dear, which Kyle, you still haven't posted that.
I know. It'll be up tomorrow. Um, it's funny because this involves James Gunn and obviously Margot Robbie playing
Oh,
Harley Quinn. James Gunn was asked if porn star Johnny Sins is playing Lex Luthor in the DCU. Quote, "You
Who?
can't possibly
James?
believe that." No comment yet on what's happening with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, but apparently Johnny Sins has been getting fan casted as Lex Luthor in the DCU, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yes, and which, to be fair, he has to look for it.
Yes.
Now, I don't think we're quite making that type of Superman film. but
I'm pretty
you
sure
know,
if we were,
James-
it would be Sex Luthor.
yeah, but you know, James Gunn has done crazier things.
Valid.
James Gunn made the Suicide Squad again and had Weasel.
Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. Would I like to see it? Why not?
Would it be unbelievably hilarious and meme to the hills till the end of time? Yes.
Yes. We talked about this in our Ahsoka preview, but just wanted to drop this on your head, just to get your thoughts here, Christian. The directors and their episodes for Ahsoka. Dave Filoni is directing episodes 1 and 5. Steph Green is directing episodes 2 and 3. Peter Ramsey is doing episode 4. Jennifer Getzinger is episode 6. Geeta Patel is episode 7. And then Rick Famuyiwa is episode 8.
Don't hate it.
Looking here, we got a
Which I will say, for people who don't know those names, the one that sticks out the most to me is Steph Green, because for people who don't know Steph Green, let's just say she has directed episodes on some of the most notable TV shows of the better part of the last 10 years. She's done episodes of Billions. Well, she did an episode of Billions. She did an episode of the Americans, of Watchmen, of The Man on High Castle. So, yep, she's done episodes in some really good series.
pretty good.
Pretty good.
Fun quote here via Rolling Stone from Randall Park, a.k.a. Jim from The Office.
Yeah, this.
He says Hollywood keeps taking the wrong lessons from successful films. For example, Barbie is this massive blockbuster, and the idea is make more movies about toys. No, make more movies by and about women.
Based.
Shout out Randall Park, a.k.a. Jim. A.k.a.
You're not Jim.
A.k.a. Jimmy Woo.
AKA Jimmy Blaze. AKA, hold on, I have to double check this one. Or was that his MCU character name?
It was Jimmy Woo.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's that. Never mind. Go. Let's move along.
Did you see Brian Cox in the Barbie box?
No, but Brian Cox does end up just doing bits at this point, so it doesn't surprise me.
Moving right along here. Ryan Gosling says he can't wait to see all the Ken costumes for Halloween. Quote, "This is
It's
my
gonna
dream.
happen.
I've always wanted to make a character that people go out for Halloween as. I hope they have multiple choices."
Well, I just thought of what we have to make Dylan do for Comic Con. Wait. I do Ken. He does Barbie.
Fair. uh, this is an all-time quote from Aaron Taylor Johnson saying,
Oh God.
he didn't care about his early roles in Avengers Age of Ultron and Godzilla, so he rejected other big franchises. Quote, "I didn't give a fuck."
Cheers, mate. I hope you get James Bond now.
He doesn't think he would have been ready for Kraven the Hunter's role if he was asked earlier on in his career. Quote, "Quite honestly, I thought I'd actually been done with these sorts of movies. What convinced him was reading the comics." Quote, you can't step into this role. You can't step into what this franchise is with a fucking half-assed, let's see how it goes attitude. You have to be mentally prepared for what could come with that. I think I'm secure in my life now to know that I'm happy to deal with that.
Whatever you
gets
say,
ready-
Chief.
As he gets ready to bite somebody's nose off in Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah, but Kyle, here's the thing. That movie got pushed to like next year.
Mm-hmm.
So all this press is for naught.
The big story of the week. The Blind Side, shall we?
Oh Christ.
What a story with Michael Orr and his adopted family that just more and more developments come out about. And Christian, I don't know if you have seen this, what has been made like internet famous Ja Morant trading card.
No,
It is,
what is
it is
I'm
quite
scared.
the trading card, to say the least. I sent it to our pal Pat Pitts, I'm sure.
The one thing I would just like to talk about is how basically the guy who wrote the Blindside book is the same guy who wrote the Moneyball book, who wrote the Big Short book, and if I remember correctly, and I'm double checking this, Michael Lewis was working on a book about Sam Bankman-Fried.
So this Ja Morant rookie card
Oh God.
from Panini went viral for a while because there's two famous rappers who have since passed away. Young Dolph and Key Glock are in the back of this card on the right-hand side. But it has been since pointed out with this Michael Orr story that on the left-hand side, behind Ja Morant in this rookie card, are Michael Orr's adopted parents. And by adopted, I mean the ones who made him sign a conservatorship. So you have two gone too soon rappers on one side, and now Michael Orr's family on the other.
Kyle, I wonder who killed the rappers.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your tinfoil hats on at this time.
Conspiracy theory hour.
Please keep your hands, feet, and other extremities inside the vehicle at all times. What a wild story. Michael Orr says he got nothing in royalties from The Blind Side, while the Toolies were paid millions and millions of dollars. And then it comes out that Michael Orr was trying to like have a hush hush, pay me X amount of dollars. I won't go public with it. It's a whole thing. It's wild. I think my biggest takeaway, there was there's two things. One is very kind of serious, and the other one is very funny. Can we stop using Sandra Bullock in the pictures with every story about this? Like, Sandra
nothing
Bullock is
wrong.
not the one that did all of this. I get she's in the movie. That just shows she can act her ass off because she didn't know any of that was happening.
I'm pretty sure she won an Oscar for it.
She
no?
did. She did. And the funny part of this is Bailey Carlin on Twitter said, take Sandra Bullock's Oscar and give it to Reggie Bush.
Ooh. 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 That's a spicy one. That's a spicy one, boy. I'll tell you what. Ooh.
I knew you'd like that one.
Ooh. Ooh.
Christian, your thoughts on redirecting an Oscar in exchange for a Heisman?
Tom Cruise reportedly gave back his Golden Globes. Maybe we can reroute those his way too. Or better yet, we can maybe actually give Jim Harbaugh something that's actually worth something.
Instead of a hamburger.
Instead of a hamburger, a NCAA investigation that could end up getting him suspended, and only one Big Ten title.
Sound off in the comments.
And see, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure DJ doesn't mind because it isn't DJ a state guy.
No, he is a Big Blue Michigan fan.
Well, fuck you, DJ.
He's going to Alaska anyway. He's going to have to pick a new team. Too bad the Pac-12 is dead.
Pac-12, more like Pac-0, motherfuckers.
Christian, this...
No, God, hold on. The remaining 4 teams should get 2 more teams just to call themselves the 6-pack.
Sponsored by Kenwood Beer. Released 15 years ago this week.
Ooh.
Tropic Thunder.
It's been on my list of things to watch. And it's a film that's in the category of Blazing Saddles, where... Have you seen Blazing Saddles?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those 2 films are it's like... It's in the never could get made today category.
Oh, yeah.
Because people, and I know I'm being general, but I don't care, are too stupid to realize satire if it's hitting them right in the fucking face. And they don't get the joke of the Robert Downey Jr. character. And see, here's the thing. If someone like Jamie Foxx and stuff has it, like Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson have no problem with it, then shut the fuck up.
This one's fascinating to me because this is where all of our tax dollars go. Scientists are developing a real-life freeze ray for the U.S. Air Force.
Snart, where's Snart and where's the Flash?
Where is Arnold Schwarzenegger? The device will be used to cool electronics inside spacecrafts and high-altitude jets. Quote, that's the primary problem right now. A lot of electronics on board heat up, but they have no way to cool down. The Air Force has granted $750,000 over the next 3 years to develop the technology.
Which, if we're being fair, is a drop in a bucket compared to the entire military budget. So,
true.
Sure, yeah, Chief, go.
That's true.
I wonder where our tax dollars are going there.
On the video game side of things in the news, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin has officially been announced, and it looks pretty fucking cool.
Haven't seen it? I'll take your word for it.
The quote about it is, "In a future battle-ravaged New York City, a lone surviving turtle embarks on a seemingly hopeless mission seeking justice for the family he lost." Very samurai vibes, which is very fun. We have a new South Park game as well coming in 2024, South Park Snow Day. And
Sure.
let's see. John Watts confirms that his 3 Spider-Man films collectively serve as Spidey's MCU origin story. You don't say. David Harbour says he's done with TV shows once Stranger Things 5 wraps filming.
Okay, sure, Chief.
He went on to say, I read the full quote on Instagram. He said that he didn't want to be boxed in and people just shouting, calling him Hopper on the streets for the rest of his life, and he feels like he can do more projects and wants to be in movies more. And I'll tell you right now, anything I see my boy DK Harbour in, I'm there.
Yeah, he can be Santa beating the crap out of terrorists.
Exactly. More scientist news as we look at Spider-Man and lizards. Scientists are looking into how lizards regenerate their tails to try and achieve similar results with human cartilage.
Why does this just feel like we are going into comic book territory?
Because we
are.
We unfortunately lost a very talented voice actor who voiced Dale Gribble on King of the Hill. Johnny Hardwick passed away this week at the age of 64. Iconic South Park character. Or, I'm sorry, King of the Hill character. I saw the video game thing again. Rest in peace to an icon. This is how you know that everybody who's been freaking out about Barbie is out of their goddamn minds. When you have Joe Rogan coming out and making a sensible quote about the Barbie movie. He said he's appalled at the Barbie backlash. Quote, "It's a fucking doll movie. It was a fun, silly movie. I laughed. How did people get outraged at that? I know some people personally who said it's anti-men. I'm like, no, it's making fun of dorks."
That's a little bit of a simplification, but I'll give him at least some level of credit.
Looking here. Let's see if I missed anything that was on my list. Oh, I wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but the success of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
I have not seen it, but I've heard plenty of good things about it, and plus it was produced by Seth Rogen, so that's always a good thing. One thing I did get the chance to watch was so Amazon adapted a teen novel called Red, White, and Royal Blue. It's currently on Prime Video. If you want a solid romance film to watch, check it out.
Happy 80th birthday to Robert De Niro.
Cheers, mate.
Also released 16 years ago this week. Superbad. Another one of those movies that probably couldn't get made today.
A movie that I honestly don't get. I'm like, it's not that funny.
Oh, Superbad was great when it came out, though. I don't know.
Like,
it's been a while since I've watched it, so I don't know how well it holds up. But
well, a lot of the humor doesn't age the best, which I don't have a problem with. It's just I don't find a lot of the jokes as funny.
McLovin is an iconic character, though.
Yeah, sure, but like it's just the hit rate for me.
Returning in the Apple TV Plus MonsterVerse show, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
It's
Godzilla
the Russell family.
Wyatt and Kurt Russell will play the same characters in different eras. Army Officer Lee Shaw.
I'll watch it.
All you
Cheers.
Monsterverse people out there. Looking here. The 6 films post the Pandy Wandy that have crossed $1 billion at the worldwide box office, Christian.
Okay, hold on. Let me
This
Top
is
Gun?
Christian's immaculate grid.
okay. Okay, let's do the math. Top Gun Maverick,
Yes.
Barbie,
Yes.
Super Mario Bros.
Yes.
Jurassic World Dominion.
Yes.
So that's 4. What's the last years of the other 2?
2021 and 2022.
Fuck, what came out last year? Oh, Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yep.
2021. It's not Dune. I wish Dune made that much money. What Marvel film came out in 2021 that would have actually done business?
You're on the right track.
2021 Marvel films. I don't care that I'm Googling. It's just, oh wait, no, Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are the 6.
I didn't even finish my Google search for that. I was like, wait a minute.
That's quite the eclectic group of characters. Barbie, Mario, the Avatar blue people, dinosaurs.
Kyle, they're called the Navi.
Tom Cruise and Spider-Man.
Tom Cruise is his own character, confirmed.
Yes, Tom Cruise is based. Looking here, the Blindside star Quentin Aaron has a message for people saying Sandra Bullock should return her Best Actress Oscar. Quote, "Shut up. Sandra didn't create this. She's an actress who got paid to do a job. Hell yeah, brother."
Yeah, brother.
That is all I've got. Christian, do you have anything else for the people?
I ran out of stuff about 15 minutes ago, cuz
it is 2 in the morning, ladies and gents. Big thank you
it's
to Joe.
2:15 in the morning.
There you
and
go.
And I have work in 7 hours and 15
Hell
minutes.
yeah. Shout out to Joe Andress for hopping on this week to help us out with our Ahsoka season preview. Like I said, he'll be making appearances throughout Ahsoka with us. So be sure to follow him at J_Andress. That's ANDRESS29 on the tweet machine. Good pal. I'm going to be talking with him about seeing what his schedule's like so he can hop on more and deliver that big Star Wars brain to us. But make sure you're following us on the socials as well, at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, and on TikTok at StreamerSZN Pod. Follow Christian on Twitter at @thewiz_PHI. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever the hell you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Goes a long way for helping this show continue to grow. Helps more people find this show and helps more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia as a network. So go subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. And as Dylan always says, the line is, leave your show and movie recommendations in the podcast reviews, and you can also do it on YouTube in the YouTube comment section, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. That really does go a long way. We have a company-wide initiative to get to 600 subscribers before the end of August, so let's make that happen, people. We are currently at 523 subscribers. Need to get to 600. Let's keep it pushing. Let's get the subscribers going. Be a friend, tell a friend that this is where you can watch Streamer_SZN every single week on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. And go get your merch, phiapparel.co, code Underground, 10% off any and all merch orders. It's the most effective and direct way to support us and everything we're doing. And lets us do more dope shit that we want to keep doing for you guys. But this has been another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Christian, for Joe, for Dylan, I'm KB. We're going to go believe in a galaxy far, far away. But until then, we're getting the heck up out of here.
Sleeping.
Peace.